You can stand in a room full of people, say the words, smile for the photos, and still feel a quiet panic in your chest. You can tell yourself it is normal nerves. You can tell yourself love will come later. Now here is the shift. That panic is not always fear of commitment. Sometimes it is your mind warning you that you are about to build a life on something that is not there. Not a small missing piece, not a rough patch, something basic, real love, the kind that makes you want the good of the other person, even when it costs you, the kind that makes you feel honest inside your own skin. And this is where it gets real. Many people marry someone they do not love, and they do it with a straight face. They do it while talking about loyalty and maturity and being a grown man. They do it while telling themselves that passion is for teenagers and stability is for adults. Then they wake up one day and realize they traded a living heart for a quiet life that feels like a clean prison. That is the trap. The trap is thinking love is only a feeling. The trap is also thinking love does not matter. Because when you remove love, something else takes its place. Fear takes its place. Comfort takes its place. Status takes its place. A control attempt takes its place. And none of those things can carry you through real life. So look closer. When someone marries without love, it is rarely because they are cold. It is usually because they are pressured. Pressured by time. Pressured by family. Pressured by money. Pressured by loneliness. Pressured by the belief that if they do not lock something down now, they will be alone later. And pressure is loud. Pressure can sound like wisdom. Pressure can sound like duty. Pressure can sound like a plan. Here is what most men miss. The mind is skilled at building a story that protects the ego. If you are afraid, your mind will call it responsibility. If you are unsure, your mind will call it caution. If you are lonely, your mind will call it readiness. And if you feel nothing, your mind will call it peace. This is why it hurts, because deep down you know the difference between calm and numb. Calm feels clear, numb feels foggy. Calm has energy under it, numb has weight under it. Calm makes you present, numb makes you perform. Now connect the dots. People marry without love for a few simple reasons that hide inside big words. The first is approval. They want to be seen as stable. They want to be seen as chosen. They want to stop feeling behind. They want to stop answering questions at family gatherings. They want the nod from the world that says, "You made it." So the question becomes this: whose life are you trying to live when you do that? Your own life? Or the life that looks good when other people glance at it for 5 seconds? Because that is how most people judge. They judge by the ring, by the wedding photos, by the house, by the holiday posts. They do not judge by the silence in your living room when the door closes. And the lesson is simple. A life that looks right can still feel wrong. A partner can be kind and still not be your partner in spirit. A relationship can be functional and still be empty. Many people confuse no conflict with connection. They confuse peace with avoidance. They confuse stability with love, because it is easier than admitting the truth. Now take this seriously. The second reason people marry without love is fear of loss. Not loss of the person, loss of the idea, loss of the time invested, loss of the routine, loss of the identity, loss of the chance to say I am not alone. And fear of loss can feel like love when you are not paying attention. Now here is the shift. You can feel strong emotion and still not be in love. You can feel intense attachment and still not be in love. You can feel jealousy and still not be in love. You can feel relief and still not be in love. Love is not the loudest feeling. Love is often the most steady one, and this is where it gets real. Some people marry because the person checks boxes. Good job, good family, no drama, easy to introduce, good enough chemistry, looks good next to you. And because the boxes are checked, you assume the heart will follow. You assume love is a reward that shows up after you sign the contract. That is the trap. The trap is treating a human bond like a purchase. Like if you buy enough stability, you will receive intimacy later. But intimacy is not delivered by effort alone. Intimacy is earned by truth, safety, and real emotional presence. If you are not honest with yourself, you cannot be present with another person. So look closer. The third reason people marry without love is exhaustion. Modern life drains men. Work pressure, constant comparison, dating app fatigue, endless options that do not feel like options, too many conversations that go nowhere, too many first dates that feel like job interviews, too many almost situations. After a while, the nervous system starts to crave anything that feels quiet. Here is what most men miss. When you are burnt out, your brain will call numbness a win. It will label low emotion as stability. It will label boredom as peace. It will label a lack of desire as maturity. This is not wisdom. This is a tired mind lowering the bar just to stop the pain of searching. This is why it hurts, because the body keeps score. You can force a decision, but you cannot force your heart to agree. You can act loving, but you cannot fake alignment forever. In time, the gap between your role and your truth becomes a daily grind, and that grind turns into resentment, even if nobody is cruel. Now connect the dots. In psychology, the mind uses shortcuts when pressure rises. When a big decision feels scary, the brain looks for relief. Relief becomes the goal, not truth. So you choose the option that reduces anxiety fastest. You choose the option that ends the uncertainty. You choose the option that stops the questions. So the question becomes this: are you choosing because you believe, or because you want the anxiety to stop? Because those are not the same. One choice grows you. The other choice cages you. One choice is based on values. The other choice is based on fear. And the lesson is simple. Fear makes a man shrink his future. Love expands it. Fear makes you justify. Love makes you commit with clear eyes. Fear makes you rush. Love makes you steady. If you cannot tell the difference, you can end up building a life out of panic. Now take this seriously. There is another layer that people rarely admit. Some people marry without love because they want control over uncertainty. They want a guaranteed plan. They want predictable nights, predictable weekends, predictable holidays, predictable social standing. They want to manage life by locking it down. Now here is the shift. Control can feel like security, but it is not peace. Peace is earned from within. Security that depends on external arrangements is fragile. The moment life hits, and life always hits, the arrangement starts to crack. Then the truth shows up in a harsher form, and this is where it gets real. You can see it in modern scenarios every day. A man scrolls through a dating app late at night. The screen is full of faces, full of options, but his chest feels empty. He matches, messages and waits. He checks his phone at the gym between sets. He checks it at work in the bathroom stall. He checks it in bed in the dark, not because he is excited, because he is searching for proof that he still matters. That is the trap. The trap is using attention as medicine. It numbs you, but it does not heal you. Then one person comes along who is steady and available. The conversations are easy. The plan becomes clear. The anxiety drops. And he tells himself, this must be love, because I finally feel calm. So look closer. Calm from relief is not the same as calm from alignment. Relief, calm fades when routine begins. Alignment, calm deepens with time. Relief says, finally, I do not have to search. Alignment says, finally, I can build. If you confuse those two, you will call a quiet compromise a soulmate. Here is what most men miss. The strongest warning sign is not fighting. It is indifference. It is when you do not feel curious about the other person. It is when their joy does not spark yours. It is when you feel like you are acting. It is when the relationship is a checklist and not a living thing. This is why it hurts. Because you can respect someone deeply and still not love them. Respect alone cannot carry intimacy. Respect alone cannot create warmth. Respect alone cannot make you feel seen. And if you marry without love, you often spend years trying to manufacture what was missing on day one. Now connect the dots. Social pressure magnifies all of this. Family wants a wedding. Friends want to settle down together. People around you start pairing off. Social media feeds fill with rings, trips, announcements, and smiling photos. The world starts to whisper one message: hurry up. So the question becomes this: are you living by your values or by the crowd? Because the crowd does not pay your emotional bill. The crowd does not wake up in your bed. The crowd does not sit with you in silence. The crowd does not carry the weight when the truth starts to press against your ribs at 2 in the morning. And the lesson is simple. The crowd rewards appearance. Life rewards honesty. The crowd claps at milestones. Life measures you by your daily reality. If you marry for the crowd, you will eventually feel alone even while being successful. Now take this seriously. There is also a more subtle reason people marry without love. They mistake comfort for connection because comfort is familiar. If you grew up in a home where emotions were not discussed, then distance can feel normal. If you learn to earn approval through performance, then a relationship can become another stage. Now here is the shift. Many men are trained to be useful, not to be intimate. They learn to provide, they learn to fix, they learn to stay strong, but they do not learn to feel, name and share. So they choose partners who do not ask for depth. They choose partners where nothing is demanded emotionally. Then they call it low drama. And this is where it gets real. Low drama is not the same as high connection. A relationship can be quiet because it is healthy. A relationship can also be quiet because two people are avoiding their hearts. If you do not know which quiet you are in, you can call a slow emotional drift a normal marriage. That is the trap. The trap is using duty as a mask. Duty is honorable, but duty without love becomes cold. Duty without love becomes transactional. You do this, I do that. We smile at events, we keep the house clean, we do not cause problems, and slowly you forget what it feels like to be alive with your partner. So look closer. A grounded man does not fear duty. He also does not worship duty. He uses duty as a tool, not as a hiding place. He understands that commitment is sacred, but so is truth. If you commit while lying to yourself, you are not being noble. You are delaying a reckoning. Here is what most men miss. The mind will often choose a safe person when the heart wants a true person. Safe means predictable. True means aligned. Safe reduces risk. True increases meaning. If you are injured from past relationships, you can start chasing safe like it is salvation. This is why it hurts. Because the safer the choice, the more you can blame yourself later. You will say, I had everything I needed, so why do I feel empty? Then shame shows up. And shame is a dangerous fuel. Shame can make you stay in a situation that slowly drains you. Now connect the dots. You might think marrying without love is rare. It is not. It is just hidden. It is hidden under phrases like, they are a good person. It is hidden under phrases like, love grows. It is hidden under phrases like, I am not getting younger. It is hidden under phrases like, I do not want to start over. So the question becomes this. What does starting over really mean? It does not mean failure. It means you choose truth over performance. It means you choose a hard season now, instead of a hollow decade later. It means you stop treating your one life like a practice run. And the lesson is simple. Pain delayed becomes pain multiplied. A clean wound heals faster than a covered wound. If you keep covering the wound with busy work, more money, more gym time, more distractions, it still bleeds underneath. Now take this seriously. Let us talk about what happens after the wedding when love is missing. At first, the structure carries you. The schedule, the shared bills, the shared plans, the social approval, the honeymoon phase, even if it is mild. But then normal life returns, and normal life is where truth speaks loudest. Now here is the shift. Without love, small irritations feel bigger. Not because the other person is terrible, because your heart has no cushion. Love is a cushion. Love makes flaws feel human. Love makes compromise feel meaningful. Without love, compromise feels like surrender. And this is where it gets real. You start staying later at work, not because work is urgent, because it is quiet there. You start spending longer in the gym, not because you need another set, because you can breathe there. You start scrolling longer at night, not because you are entertained, because you do not want to turn toward the person beside you and feel nothing. That is the trap. The trap is building a life that avoids your own home. A man can become a ghost in his own marriage. He shows up, he provides, he is present in the calendar, but his spirit is not there, and the other person feels it, even if they cannot name it. So look closer. Here is a modern scenario. A text message pops up while you are at work. It is simple. Are we okay? You stare at it longer than you should, not because it is hard to answer, because you do not know what the truth is without causing damage. You type, yes, just busy. You send it, and you feel relief. Then you feel guilt. Then you feel numb again. Here is what most men miss. That cycle is a warning. Relief, guilt, numbness. Relief, guilt, numbness. That is not love growing. That is avoidance growing. And avoidance always collects interest. This is why it hurts. Because both people can be trying. Both people can be decent. Both people can be loyal. And still the relationship can feel like a slow starvation. Nobody has to be cruel for the outcome to be tragic. Now connect the dots. When love is missing, people often replace it with roles: provider, peacekeeper, planner, helper. The roles can make the household run, but roles do not feed intimacy. Intimacy needs emotional risk. Intimacy needs truth. Intimacy needs the courage to say, this is what I feel, and this is what I need, and this is what I fear. So the question becomes this: can you tell the truth without trying to control the outcome? Because many men tell half-truths to keep things calm. They do not want conflict. They do not want to be the bad person. So they shrink their truth until it fits inside a polite life. And the lesson is simple. A polite lie does not protect anyone. It only delays the cost. Truth spoken with care is painful, but it is clean. A lie spoken with a smile is painless now, but it is poison later. Now take this seriously. There is also the issue of attraction. Not the shallow kind, the deeper kind. The kind that makes you choose the same person again and again. When you marry without love, you often have weak attraction, or attraction based on convenience. Then your mind starts seeking what is missing. Now here is the shift. Seeking does not always mean cheating. Sometimes it means fantasizing. Sometimes it means emotional escape. Sometimes it means staying online too long. Sometimes it means comparing your partner to strangers on social media. Sometimes it means becoming addicted to attention because attention is easier than intimacy. And this is where it gets real. You can see it in the breakup aftermath of other people too. You watch someone leave a long relationship and suddenly act like a different person. New photos, new clothes, new confidence. It looks like growth, but often it is a panic response. It is the nervous system trying to prove it did not waste time. And if you are married without love, that panic sits inside you quietly. That is the trap. The trap is building a life where you feel like you missed your chance, missed your best years, missed the kind of love you wanted. Then every argument becomes loaded. Every boring weekend feels like a verdict. Every small disappointment feels like a sign that you chose wrong. So look closer. The goal is not to chase a fantasy. The goal is not to demand constant fireworks. The goal is to build a bond where respect and desire and friendship and shared values can breathe. Love is not always loud, but it is never dead. Love has movement. Love has warmth. Love has care. Love makes you want to show up. Here is what most men miss. Some men think love is the feeling of being entertained. That is not love. Some men think love is never being challenged. That is not love. Some men think love is being needed. That is not love either. Love is choosing the good, choosing the truth, and choosing the growth, while still being drawn to the person in a real way. This is why it hurts, because when you do not love the person, you might still love the idea of being a good man. You might still love the idea of being loyal, so you stay, and you tell yourself you are strong. But strength without truth becomes self-betrayal. Now connect the dots. Stoicism is not about pretending you feel nothing. Stoicism is about mastering your responses so you can live by principle. A Stoic man does not run from discomfort, but he also does not volunteer for suffering that comes from dishonesty. He does not confuse endurance with virtue when the endurance is built on a lie. So the question becomes this: what is love, really, in a Stoic frame? Love is not a constant emotional high. Love is a daily alignment between your actions and your values. Love is wanting the other person to thrive. Love is building something real together. But Stoicism also demands that you do not abandon your own soul to keep a surface calm. And the lesson is simple. If you marry without love, you might keep the peace, but you will lose yourself. And when a man loses himself, he becomes reactive. He becomes distant. He becomes resentful. He becomes fragile under pressure because he is carrying a secret he refuses to face. Now take this seriously. Let us talk about the difference between love and compatibility, because many men confuse this too. Compatibility matters. Shared goals, similar pace, respectful communication, financial stability. These matter, but compatibility is not love. Compatibility is the frame. Love is the living picture inside the frame. Now here is the shift. You can have a perfect frame and no picture. You can have a clean house and an empty heart. You can have a partner who never yells and still feel alone. You can have someone who is loyal and still feel like you are watching your own life from outside. And this is where it gets real. Another modern scenario. You are at the gym, your phone buzzes. A message from your partner asks what time you will be home. You look at the mirror, you look at the clock, you add one more exercise, not because your body needs it, because you do not want to walk into that quiet room and feel the distance again. You tell yourself you are disciplined, but deep down, you are avoiding a truth you do not want to name. That is the trap. The trap is using self-improvement as anesthesia. The gym is good, work is good, discipline is good, but when you use it to escape intimacy, it becomes a mask. A mask can look strong, but it still hides the face. So look closer. People also marry without love because they fear being alone with themselves. A relationship becomes a shield from silence, a shield from questions, a shield from unresolved pain. So they choose whoever is available and safe, and they call it fate. Here is what most men miss. If you cannot sit alone in peace, you will not choose love, you will choose relief. And relief is a poor foundation. Relief always fades. Then you are back with yourself, except now you are also responsible for another person you never truly chose. This is why it hurts. Because the other person did not sign up for a half-present partner, and you did not sign up to feel trapped. But the trap is built from small choices made under fear. Nobody wakes up one day and says, "I will live a lie." They drift into it. Now connect the dots. So what do you do if you are dating and you feel the pressure to settle? You slow down. You stop using time pressure as a reason. You stop letting other people decide what your life should look like. You stop treating marriage like a finish line. Marriage is not a finish line. It is a starting line for a harder race. So the question becomes this: are you ready to carry hard seasons with this person? Not just dinners and vacations, hard seasons, illness, job loss, family stress, aging, grief, boredom, conflict, growth. If love is not present, those seasons will not bond you, they will break you. And the lesson is simple. A man must learn the courage of clean choices. Clean yes, clean no, clean pause. A dirty yes is a yes that carries hidden resentment. A dirty yes is a yes you give so you do not have to face discomfort. A dirty yes costs you more than a clean no ever will. Now take this seriously. What if you are already married and you realize love is missing? First, you do not panic. Panic creates damage. Second, you do not turn cruel. Cruelty is cowardice. Third, you face the truth like a man who respects both lives involved. Now here is the shift. You start by separating feelings from facts. Feelings are signals, facts are patterns. Do you feel no love because you are burnt out, depressed, or stressed? Or do you feel no love because there was never real connection? Those are different problems. One can be repaired with effort and honesty. The other requires a deeper choice. And this is where it gets real. Many men do not do this work. They drift. They wait for the other person to change. They wait for life to improve. They wait for desire to magically return. Meanwhile, the emotional distance becomes normal. Then one day a small event triggers everything. A harmless conversation, a casual compliment from a stranger, a social media post, and suddenly the man realizes how starved he has been. That is the trap. The trap is waiting for an external event to give you permission to face your truth. But permission does not come from outside. Permission comes from your own standards. So look closer. A Stoic man builds standards that he can defend in the dark, not standards that look good online, not standards that impress other people, standards that create self-respect. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is the calm knowledge that you did not abandon your soul to gain comfort. Here is what most men miss. The deepest pain in a loveless marriage is not the lack of romance. It is the daily self-betrayal. It is waking up and knowing you are not fully there. It is saying "I love you" and feeling your body tense because your spirit did not agree. It is becoming two people, the public person and the private person. This is why it hurts, because divided men are tired men. Divided men are reactive men. Divided men seek escape, and escape always creates collateral damage. Even if you never cheat, even if you never shout, your absence becomes its own kind of wound. Now connect the dots. Let us bring in clear relationship psychology, in simple terms. Human beings attach to patterns. We attach to whoever feels safe enough. We attach to whoever is present when we feel lonely. We attach to whoever helps us reduce stress. Attachment is not love. Attachment is a bond formed for survival and comfort. So the question becomes this: Are you attached or are you aligned? Attachment says, do not leave me. Alignment says, let us build together. Attachment is fear-based. Alignment is value-based. Attachment needs constant reassurance. Alignment needs shared truth. And the lesson is simple. When you confuse attachment for love, you choose based on anxiety. You choose based on what you can hold, not what you should build. That is why many people marry without love. They marry their anxiety relief. Now take this seriously. There is another modern scenario that reveals this clearly. Imagine you are at work and you see a couple years younger getting engaged. People gather around, people clap, people tease you asking when it is your turn. You smile, you laugh. Later you open a dating app again, not even interested, just restless. Then you message someone who seems stable and you start moving too fast because you feel like you are falling behind. Now here is the shift. Falling behind is a myth. There is no universal schedule. There is only your life, and your life will punish you if you build it on fear. You can rush and still be lonely. You can settle and still be empty. You can win the social game and still lose your inner life. And this is where it gets real. Stoicism teaches a hard truth. You cannot control other people, and you cannot control outcomes, but you can control your choices and your character. If you choose marriage as a cover for fear, you will live in fear. If you choose marriage as a partnership built on truth, you can face fear together. That is the trap. The trap is thinking marriage will fix you. Marriage will reveal you. Marriage will magnify what you avoid. If you avoid truth now, marriage will force it out later through pain, distance, or crisis. So look closer. This is the part where many men ask, what if I never feel intense love? What if I am not the romantic type? That is a fair question. Love does not need to be dramatic. Love does not need constant excitement. Love can be calm. Love can be quiet. But love must be real. Real love shows up as care, desire to protect, desire to serve the good, and willingness to grow together. Here is what most men miss. Love has one clear sign. You choose the person when nobody is watching. Not because you are supposed to, because you want to. Because being loyal to them feels like being loyal to yourself. If loyalty feels like self-erasure, something is wrong. This is why it hurts, because you can be a strong man and still be trapped by your own fear. Strength is not only lifting weight, strength is telling yourself the truth. Strength is facing the discomfort of honest conversations. Strength is tolerating uncertainty long enough to make a clean decision. Now connect the dots. You might be thinking, what about those who say love grows after marriage? Sometimes it does. Love can grow when there is mutual respect, shared values and genuine attraction, and both people are honest and committed. But love does not grow well in a place where one person secretly feels nothing and hopes a ring will create warmth. So the question becomes this: are you willing to do the work now before you lock your life in place? Are you willing to face your own fear of being alone? Are you willing to ask yourself why you want this relationship? Are you willing to be the man who chooses, not the man who drifts? And the lesson is simple. The purpose of dating is not to avoid loneliness, it is to test alignment. The purpose of commitment is not to reduce anxiety, it is to build a life that matches your values. Now take this seriously. Here is the Stoic reframe that changes everything. Love is not the reward for finding the perfect person. Love is the result of two people practicing virtue together. Patience, courage, honesty, self-control, respect. But virtue does not mean you ignore your inner truth. Virtue means you live in reality. Now here is the shift. Reality is not what you wish. Reality is what you live. If your relationship feels like an agreement and not a bond, that is reality. If you are always relieved when you are apart, that is reality. If you feel more alive with strangers than with your partner, that is reality. And a Stoic man faces reality. And this is where it gets real. Many men believe their options are extreme. Either marry and be good, or leave and be bad. That is childish thinking. There is a third path, the path of clarity, the path of slow, honest evaluation, the path of difficult conversations, the path of building the relationship with truth, or ending it with respect. That is the trap. The trap is moralizing fear. You tell yourself leaving would make you selfish, so you stay and slowly become resentful. Resentment is not noble. Resentment is a hidden form of blame, and blame will poison any home. So look closer. If you are dating, you need a simple test. Not a perfect test, but a clear one. Ask yourself, do I admire this person? Do I feel drawn to them? Do I feel peace in their presence, not numbness? Do I want to build with them? Do I want their good? Do I feel more myself around them, not less? Here is what most men miss. Fear will answer those questions with noise. Fear will say, what if you regret leaving? Fear will say, what if you cannot do better? Fear will say, what if you end up alone? Those are not answers. Those are threats. This is why it hurts. Because fear speaks in the voice of urgency. Love speaks in the voice of steadiness. Fear demands a decision now. Love allows you to see clearly. Fear says, lock it down. Love says, build it right. Now connect the dots. This brings us to a practical mental training exercise. It is simple. It is not magic. But it will cut through the fog if you do it honestly. So the question becomes this: can you sit with truth long enough to hear it? If you can, do this exercise for 7 days. Step 1. Every morning write one sentence that describes how you feel about your relationship in your body. Not your thoughts, your body. Tight chest, calm breath, heavy stomach, lightness. Step 2. Every night write one sentence about the day's most honest moment with your partner. Step 3. Circle any moment where you felt relief from distance and underline any moment where you felt warmth from connection. Step 4. At the end of 7 days, read it all in one sitting and ask, what pattern is real? And the lesson is simple. Patterns tell the truth when stories lie. Your mind can explain anything. Your body is harder to trick. If the pattern is relief when you are away, you have work to do. If the pattern is warmth and respect and desire, you may be mistaking calm love for drama love. Now take this seriously. If you are already married, add one more step. Have one honest talk, calm and respectful. You do not accuse, you do not explode. You state your inner reality with care. You say what you miss. You say what you need. You ask what they need. You listen. Then you watch what happens next, not just what is said in the moment. Now here is the shift. Words are easy. Patterns are hard. Many people will promise change to avoid fear. Real change shows up in behavior, in effort, in presence, in how you treat each other, when the room is quiet. And this is where it gets real. Some men stay because they fear being the villain. But a man is not a villain for telling the truth with respect. A man becomes dangerous when he lies for years, then breaks everything in one reckless moment. Clean truth now is often kinder than silent decay. That is the trap. The trap is postponing truth until it becomes an explosion. Stoicism teaches control, and control is not suppression. Control is choosing the right action at the right time for the right reason. So look closer. Here is the climactic wisdom moment. You have a choice point in your life. The choice is between comfort and character, between appearance and integrity, between relief and alignment, and you do not need anyone to approve your choice. You need to be able to respect yourself afterward. Here is what most men miss. The man you become is shaped by the truths you are willing to face, not by the image you maintain, not by the milestones you collect, by your courage in private. This is why it hurts, because the cost of truth is paid up front. The cost of avoidance is paid forever, and every year you pay it, you become more distant from yourself. Now connect the dots, remember this one line, and let it burn away the noise. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So the question becomes this: will you use that power now? Will you stop letting pressure drive your life? Will you stop letting fear choose your partner? Will you stop treating marriage like a solution to inner unrest? Because inner unrest is solved by inner order. And the lesson is simple. A self-led man does not marry to escape himself. He marries because he has met himself. He knows his values, he knows his standards, he knows his weaknesses, he knows what he can offer, and he chooses a partner from clarity, not from panic. Now take this seriously. If this message hit you, do not just nod and move on. Write one sentence today that you have been avoiding. Say it to yourself first, then decide the next right action. Sometimes the next right action is slowing down. Sometimes it is seeking counseling. Sometimes it is an honest conversation. Sometimes it is choosing to leave with respect. The answer depends on your reality, not your fear. Now here is the shift. If you want more calm, direct guidance like this, support the channel, like the video, subscribe and leave a comment with one word that describes what you value most in a relationship: truth, peace, growth, or loyalty. Your word will reveal your next lesson. And this is where it gets real. You do not need a perfect life. You need an honest one. You do not need a partner to complete you. You need a partner who aligns with the man you are becoming. And you do not need to be loud about it. You need to be steady. This is Stoic truth, where silence becomes strength.